Hello friends and everyone, welcome back again to Netcode-Hub channel. We started this project a while ago and we are almost done. This is going to be the final video. We've done a lot. We've built the web API which is working perfectly. We have also looked at how we can integrate a stunning UI for e-commerce using Blazor WebAssembly standalone, which is in .NET 9. And now we have made a couple of things. I believe you've checked the videos and now you've seen what you've done. If you haven't checked any of the videos, well, then you are missing a lot. So do check the video description here. I'll put the playlist link over there and also the videos that you need to watch. Okay. And let's see. So we're going to finalize this with this video. What have we done so far? We've done our API, our authentication, and also our cart service, our product and category service. Aside from that, when it comes to the UI, we've also built same thing to suit the API. That is by building a nice UI integrating a team, CSS team, which is nice, and we did that. We also created a cart service whereby user can add item to carts and a whole lot, and also can make payment using the integration of Stripe account. Now, the last thing that we're going to do here is an administration section. That is where to perform CRUD. Let's say we're going to add product, we're going to add category, then we're going to delete it. And aside from that, well, what left? Yes, we need to also get sales. So maybe how the system is going to work. After a user makes successful purchasing, then the history or the cart will be sent to an archive. And so we want to grab this archive data from database and then display it from the administrator level, and also add category and product. That is what they want to do in this video, and that's going to finalize this. This project is open to modification, so you can add a lot of features here, but at least by doing this, you've seen how you can build something small or even something meaningful. And I believe you're gonna love that. Okay, so let's see. We need to update the web API first, then we tackle the client. So let's do it. The question is, what are we going to do now? We're first going to create our DTO, which is going to handle our get archive, because after product or cart service or cart has been added to the database, if an admin wants to get it, we need to have a model, a DTO specifically, which will handle that. So let's go in there and implement our cart service. Not the cart service, cart DTO. Now this is going to happen in the application because that is where we have all our DTOs. And so let's go and add that. These are the models that we need, or properties that we need in our this DTO. We want to have the product name, so the product the user purchased. We want to grab the name. We want to grab the quantity of that product user selected. So from that, you want to get that user's name, the purchaser, right? You want to get the name and also his email address. So maybe in case you want to send an email or if you want to integrate something special to it, you can also go on with an email. And you want to know the amount paid for this product. We're going to have a quantity audit. We're going to have the price. So we can multiply this and then get the amount paid for this specific product with its quantity. Maybe later on, we can decide to add the total or the sum, that's the grand total, the gross total, to see whatever thing that the user, whatever amount that the user purchased or paid. You can do that. And you want to get the date this action were performed. So this is the model that we need to create. Now after we are done with this, what is the next thing to do? Let's go and update our product base. Now product base here is going to happen in a DTO. Now this is what we're doing. Since you're using an auto mapper, it maps data the properties by name. So if two properties here do not have the same name, then it won't match unless we do that manually. Okay, but we don't need to do this manually because we have the names here, just that they are different. So let's modify that and make sure they are the same. go to solution. Let me show you that. Now go to domain first, where we have our entities. In that, check product. Now with product entity, you can see we are having image here. Now if you're using AutoMapper and we create a DTO to handle that, that is from the product base in application product. And I'll check this product base. You will see we want to map this image here, but we made it as base64. So let's move this and make it as image so that both could be the same and so they can match and when using AutoMapper. Okay. The next thing that we're going to do here is, after we're done with it, we need to update our cart repository so we can add an interface and implementation so we can get archive and also we can make it a call in our service. Let's do that. So go to solution, and in there you can see that from our domain, that's where we have our interfaces. Let's go to our iCart. Let's add this interface. We have only one interface here, save checkout history. We're going to add another one. So now that we have our get checkout history, let's implement this. So we can do that from the infrastructure layer. And here we having our cart repo. So we need to, not category, rather cart. So I open this cart repo and let's implement it and see how it's going to work. So that is what we are doing. We want to get the list here and our returns it. This is quite simple. Maybe you can decide to pass in or get, you can filter this. But for now, we want to get everything from here and our return to our UI. Now that we are done with this, the next thing that we need to do here is to create our service. We have the cart service created already. So what matters here is to update the cart and consume this interface. Let's do that. So go to solution. And our cart service can happen, or we can find that from our application, from our services. Then let's make sure we have a cart service. There's a cart service, but let's look at the interface and add an interface to that. That's an iCart service. So let's go and implement this. Here we're going to be needing the user. So let's add our interface, that is an iUser management. So that is what we're doing here. You can see we need to return get archive, that's our DTO, and this should be an end list. So that's why we have an enumerable. Now we want to get it from an interface where we specify to get from database. After that, we check if it is null, you need to return. But in case it isn't, we want to group it. But the reason why we're doing that is, a user can buy more than one item. Now, if the user does that, then if you are looping through all this, you're going to have the same product, the same card with the same user ID. So you want to group this card by user ID so that if the user buys 4 items, it can be grouped with user ID as a key and then the items bought as a value, which is a list. So that is what we're doing here. We group them by ID And aside from that, we want to get the products here because you're going to be getting product details. That's what we need in our model. So we need to get the product list. The reason why I'm not doing get product by ID here is, you know, when we have multiple products here, unless we get or we call this interface all the time, we want to call it at once and now keep it so that we can loop in through here as an whilst this exists in the memory. Aside from that, we want to create that's a list of an archives, and we're going to loop through our key. This key has the key of the user ID and it has the value of the product or the process card. So loop through that, and you want to get this customer details. So we call user management and get by ID. Since we have the key as an ID, user ID, we can pass the user ID to get as a customer detail. Aside from that, you know, this is a key with a list of process card as a value. So you want to loop through that. And now here I want to get a key, the product detail for each where we have a product ID. Aside from that, you want to populate it. So we add a new, and since we have the customer details, we have the product details, we can go in and get a quantity, get amount paid, multiply the quantity by the price, and provide this. After that, I want to return, which is a list. Send this also an enumerable. We can return list, and it's going to work. Okay, so this is the implementation of this service, and that is how it is orchestrating things to make it work. Great. Now that we are done with this, you know, we need to also update our controller so we can have an endpoint for this. So let's quickly do that. So when you look at our endpoint 2, we want to get all archives from the interface or the service interface that we specified. We want to check in case there's any, then return OK with this. But in case we do not have any record in it, then return not found. And that is what we're doing in our controller. So now we are done with our endpoint, which is updating our API. Now is the time for us to hop into our client and also update the client. But you know, before we do that, we need to authorize this first. You know, when you check our, let's check our endpoint, we have authentication. With authentication here, our first token is going to be, it doesn't need to be authorized. Login and create account also same. But when you go to our card service, for get archive, you need to be an admin. So we need to, let's add this authorize attribute. And now here we want to add the rows. Now it is only admin who can get it. In case you want to add more, you can go in and add more here. Aside from, so let's grab this key, and from save checkout, you need to also be authorized, right? So you need to be authorized. But for checkout, you need to be also authorized. So you can see from here, but with this, that is not only by admin. So here we can talk about maybe admin can do it, but I'm not sure admin should check out. So this should be user. Okay, now save checkout. This should be admin. This should be user. Because after user has successfully made purchase, that is where this gets called. User does not need to call this. This will be called from the UI automatically using the UI lifecycle method, which is known as the uninitialize. So this will be called automatically, but then the state here should be a user. That is a row. Get account should be done only by the admin, not user. Okay, we still grab this. Then once you're done doing this, we can also update the cart category. For category is only get and get by ID, which is anonymous. Everybody can get it. But for admin, for also update should be admin, and for delete same. Now get product by category. So here is also empty for everyone. Let's check product, and we're going to do same. Now from our payment controller, this method, we're going to call this method. But before we call this method, we get a payment method. So here, user can decide not to log in, but as soon as user click on this, that is where we log in. So we don't need to authenticate this, because here it is getting from the database. We are not adding any function to this. We are not sending any post. It's just get. So we don't need to authorize that. Let's go to product controller, and here we do same to our add, update, and then delete. So from that, yes, so that's what we have now. So we have protected our post, delete, and our put endpoint. These are going to perform by an admin, strictly admin. So we need to protect it. So good. We can build this project again and make sure it works. All right, so that is done building. So we can run this to check if our UI or our Swagger is going to work. So we can minimize this and start with our client. So it is working. Now let's try one and see. I'm going to click on add category. Now I'm not having any key added, right? So let's say if I click on, I want to add something like new category, and now watch out. If I click on execute, I get 401. Let me put postman. Let's register this first. Postman is launching. Let's log in. So I have admin at admin.com. Then let's put password admin at 123. That is a password. Now I'm going to execute this so I can have a token. Now watch out. This is my token. So let me grab this token. And then, okay, but before we do that, I want us also check from here so we can verify and see it's working. There's an endpoint, so let's grab this. Let's go to our postman, which is post, and that category add. We go to, since this is post, go to the body, then a JSON. So with this, it should be name. Let's say new category. Click on send. We should have 401. Great. Now let's go to the headers and add authorization. There's authorization. Let's go and grab our token. Now there's an admin token. So let's grab this. Let's go to our postman, and now with this, authorization, and here we say this is bearer space, and now paste this. Let's make send again. Now you can see now it has been added. You see that? Now if I get on get, and let's say let's see whether we're going to have it. So all these are categories that we have created. I have created already, and this is a new one that we have added. So it tells you that yes, our token is working and our endpoints are protected. If you do not provide token, no action. Yes. Okay. Now let's stop this. We've tested one endpoint. You can test the rest. Absolutely, they're going to work. Let's close all tabs and let's minimize this and try to open our client. So I have opened the client and you can see it's ready now. I hope you've done yours too. Now, we need to also create a model. So I've made mention of this earlier that you can decide to create a simple model so you can make it as a shared library for both the client and now the API. But we did not do that. So we are creating a different solution for each. And now under client, we need to also create the same model that we did in the application layer for an API. So let's also do same in here. Now from our clients library, you can see we have our models cat. So let's go and add a class of this. Now with this class, I need not to type it again because you and I have created this already in an API. So we just have to go in there, copy it, and I can paste it here. Quite simple. Yes. Great. So let's see. Now we have this. What's the next thing that we need to do? Now after we are done creating this get archive, which is going to be a DTO to send data to an API, we need to go in there and update. Do you remember that we did that in an API? Changing from base 64 image to just image. We need to also do same here. So let's go and make it uniform. Okay, so after we are done changing this, the next thing that we're gonna do here is to update our constant class. Now this constant class contains some of the constants that we'll be using. Okay, so we have organized all of these in one place so that editing becomes easy for us to do it anytime that you want to do it. So that's a constant file in the helper folder. Let's go and update search. These are the things that we're doing here. We want to get this route which corresponds to our endpoint for get archives. And also we want to pass in a row. We don't want to be passing this row manually anywhere. We want to be using this administration.admin row so that in case later on we want to change this here, it becomes easy for us to do it. So now that we are done adding this and updating our constant, let's go and add our cat service. So we first need to add the interface and the implementation. I believe you are well of this. You go to our services and you can see we have an iCat service. So let's add our interface first. So with this, we need not to, because it is going to be a get type. So we need not to be typing this again. You know, this is post. So I think let's check if you have a category service. Then we have get type. We grab everything and come and paste it. So let's grab this get. Let's go back to cat service, and in here, let's paste it because it is the same. And what we need to do here is, instead of getting an archive, getting the public, you need to be private, because you know this is authenticated, is protected. You need to provide the token. So private will give us the token that we need. Let's get that, and this should be an await. So here, once you have this client, we specify the client here exactly. This should be an async, and I believe you are aware of this. And from this, it is not category, it is rather, this is cat, and cat has an endpoint, or known as what? Get archives. The type here, it is get. This our client, model and ID are null, so you provide a dummy model for this. We're going to typecast it, and then instead of getting get category, it should be an archive. That is all. These are the few changes that we need to do here. Good. Let's save it. The next thing that we're going to do here is we need to go in there and now start creating our component. So let's go to our Blazor. from our authentication. No, we go to our pages. Let's add a folder to this. Let's call this as administration. Now we go back to the import. Let's copy this and paste a copy here. Let's go and change a whole lot. So we don't need authentication service. We don't need token service. So here what we need is authentication service. We don't need that. Then we don't need all of this. We need only card service. We don't need cookie. And let's go and add attribute to this. This attribute should be authorized. And with this authorize, we need to specify the role. So here we can use a constant dot authentication dot admin role. Do we have that? Okay, it shouldn't be authentication, it should be administration dot admin role. So that is the role that we want to use as an admin. So any page component that we're going to create in that folder, the auth state here should be an admin. Good. Now the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to create our admin layout. So you want to have a separate layout for this. So let's go to administration folder. Let's add component. Call this as admin layout. This layout should inherit from the layout component base. So let's say this is going to inherit from layout component base. After that, let's have our div created. Let's use bg main, and this is one of the classes our template uses. So we need to create a component known as admin navbar. We're going to create that component. Let's have our body. Then maybe we can go ahead and add a footer. So let's go and create this component. So we're having our admin navbar here. So you can see that we are building a simple UI here for the admin. We want to have these as navigation bars on top, where we specify our home, our logout button, product, and our category. So this home here is going to handle with the sales. We're going to have our product to perform product stuff, and also category to also do same. Now logout, you know what's going to happen. Good. So let's go and start creating our category page. So let's save this and create another component for category. So let's first code our logic, then we build the UI, simple UI to handle that. So that is what we need to do under the category component. Let's go through. We created a property which is going to handle the show and hide of our model for our added category. Then we're going to be using a Netcode-Hub toast. So we need to also create an instance. We're going to have a list, category list, and also an instance of create category. So we can use that in an edit model. In that we call this, when the page initializes, we want to get a category from the database because we want to get all categories which has been saved, and we call a method to handle that. This to add. In case I click on add, we want to show the model. In case I click on cancel, I want to close it. Then delete category, we're going to pass in an ID. So since we have the service here already, call the service, and in case it's accessed, we call this method again. That's the reason why I extracted that into a simple or a separate model, a function, so I can be calling it all the time. After that, we are having show component. Now this show component or show tools is going to show this based on if it is success or error. We're going to show the message. So we create a private, or there's a private function which will be called, I think, twice here: delete and also save. Okay, now after we're done with this, we need to go and build a simple UI. So but we need to use a layout first. So let's have our layout. So admin layout, that is the layout that we created. Now let's go and handle our UI. So first of all, let's add our component, that is our toast. So here we can copy from the previous page that we created and that create category page, or that is from the UI section. We added this, so we added the same thing. Okay, now let's build our simple UI to handle the create. Don't worry, let's go through. So first of all, okay, check here. We are creating a div class, which is banner section. Inside that, we are creating a class known as container. If you open the class, we're creating a row. If you open the row, we're creating column LG12 for the entire row. If you open that, we're creating a card which has a padding and a margin of 5 and 2 respectively. If you open that, we're having a card header. Check it out. That is a header, it ends. We're having the title. There's a title here. That's the title. So this title contains a button which has a class of BTN outline success, which is bootstrap staffs. And here we want to click on add category. So if I click on this, I want to show this. I call this method. That's the button name. Aside from having this card title, I'm having the card body. So there's a card body. Now if I open this, there's a card body. So we have an open, then we have the closing. You see? Now after I have this, I am opening this, and I want to loop through and display the category. Since it's going to be a card body, I want to check if category.any. Then I want to call or do this, create a table, and I'm having a class of table. I think it should be one table stripe. Then in that, I am having a specifying the table head. So this is the head. I'm having table row of ID and our name and our action. Now in the table body, I am looping through the category that we have and now generating the table data respectively. Then I have a button known as delete. And here, if I click on it, call this method and pass in the ID. It's a function. Then, out of in case this is null, that is I'm having this, display this as the center. Now this is our component. So this is coming from here, show dialog. Now we're using this Netcode-Hub model. We call this model dialog. Now with this, when you check our previous component that we created, that is our latest product. I think we added, not this, our main page. Let's see if it's this one. We added a class. I think it's search results. Success payments. I'm not sure with this. Cart component. I believe it's this. Yeah. So instead of this, let's grab this from here. Let's move it because we're going to be using it more than one. let's go to our www.css app.css, and down here let's paste it. Now since you're going to specify the weight dynamically, let's remove that. Okay, let's save it. So if I go to my category page, I'm referencing the class here with the border access. Within the content template, this I want to have, I have the same card with the add category as a header. Then within the body, I'm creating a simple edit form. Now this edit form, if you check it well, it will say it has this float text coming from an input component of one of my packages, and in here we need to specify a label, then a form control as a class. We add a button, save category, and we also add another button that is cancel. So if I click on cancel, you know what's going to happen. If I click on submit, you know this method is going to be called, because we are saying unvalid submit, which will be called. So that is exactly what we're doing here. That's quite simple, and we are done. That is all. So we get a list from database, and we also have a model so we can add category to the table. We're going to be doing same to our product. So let's say from here, we're going to be copying stuff from that category into our product. So now that we have this, let's go ahead and create our product page. So once you have this page created, we need to build the same thing applies to the endpoint. We need to build the code here first. Now we're going to be using a Netcode-Hub file upload. So with this, we need to specify some stuff, requirements that we'll be using in there. So let's start building our code section before we come to the UI. So when you check here, we are not having that component. That is a Netcode-Hub file upload. So we need to install this package first. So let's do that. So let's search for Netcode-Hub. Now, you know, like Netcode-Hub, we want to download this netcode-hub.packages.component.file upload. Let's get this package installed. Once we have this done, we can go ahead to our product page and now use that. So we can go to our category. We're going to be using the same thing, so I need not to type it. So when you check this, it is quite the same thing as we did, just that here we are specifying our required extension for our file upload, because we want to make sure we get all the images, and that is exactly what we're doing. Now you see from here we get the product, we also get the category, and we're doing that in an uninitialized missing. That's why we call this. We also call this product. I made this private because you can see we are calling it over here 2 times. So we need not to repeat the same line. We can just have a simple method to handle that. Okay. Now with our UI, we need to also build a simple UI for this product. It's quite similar to the category. So let's do that. Before that, we need to also make sure we inherit from this layout, because we have a special layout for this. That is an admin layout. So let's go through this code. So it's quite similar to what we have in here. Banner section is the same thing to the category, container fluid. So in that category, we made it as container, but here, since it's going to have a lot, we're going to say container fluid, so it can cover the entire space. Then we have our row in that. Now in the row, we having this column LG12 for the whole row. Then down here, you can see we are having show dialog. In case it is true, we want to display this. But here there's an issue which is saying that okay, so let's see the reason why we're having this. We need to define a method for this. That's the reason why we're having that. I think for us to be able to work with this, let's pause where we are. Let's go and add that method first, then we come back and continue. So let's go down. Don't worry, I'll come back to that. Let's add this method. So let's say the name here should match with what we have. So we're having a Netcode-Hub, so that is the name, should match with this. The required extensions should also be the same. So let's go and simplify that. Okay, so when you look at this method, what are we doing? Now, when you use the file upload, as soon as you select a file, this is going to be get hit. Now in here, we have this model as a payload that is coming in. Then we're going to check in case it is not null. We want to store the files and on the base default, the base file. Why do we need to do that? If I click on this and I go to pick definition, you can see from this, let's see it's open. It takes in file model. Now this file model also takes in read-only list of iBrowser files. So this contains a browser files. That's an actual file you have selected. And now this also contains a string with string as a key and the value for base files. Now this base file, if the file is an image, it's going to convert that to base default string. So it can be stored here. So we can use the name of the file to get the value. The value is going to be the base default string of an image, whilst the name here is going to be the key. So we can, if you want to grab the base default of an image, we need to use the key to loop through this list and then get it. And that is what we're doing here. We see from here, we're looping through these files. This file here is from this base file. From this base file, we're looping through that. And I can see from here, we want to get the first or default by the key, which is coming into an item name. And you want to check, you want to skip if it is lowercase or uppercase. That's why we're using the string comparison. In case it isn't now, it means the value here is going to be the base default string, and we assign it to this image property. In case you have any issue, you want to call show toast, and now you pass in the message from here, because this upload module also returns a message. In case there's an issue, it's going to be stored there, and you can now display it how you want it. There's a title of the message that you want to show. Good. Now let's go back to our UI. So from here, we create our model. We pass in this model dialog, you know it already. In there we have a class, with the header and at the body, the same thing. We have an edit form, which causes when everything is set. And here we have it in a stack, it's a horizontal stack. We calling our this and the floating text. Now this text, it takes the label, the bind name of the product name, which is the product name as a label. Then we have a class. So maybe we can use this to get rid of this one. You see? Then here too, we having this input number, that's the product price. You can also use this and then get rid of this. Then when you come here, we having the same number of what quantity. You can also close this, get rid of this one. Then if you check here, we're using the floating text area. We provide a label, and now we need to also remove this and close it. You see? And after that, we having our input select. I use a default input select here, and we're looking through the categories that we have. We create an option, we pass in the ID, which is the guild, and then we pass in the name so the user can see and then select. So as soon as you select any of them, it's going to be bound here. We have the category ID. That's an input select. Then we have our Netcode-Hub file upload, which takes a reference of file upload component. That is what we have referenced it. Then notify, that's what's going to get called when you select an image. So you call this method. And now do you want to allow multiple selection? That is false. Do you want to require an extension? Yes. And now this extension. So it means that this component is going to comply with the extension that you're going to provide here. Else, it's going to provide an issue from the message. Show display, you can set to true or false. If I set this to true, let's see, you can display down. We're going to have a progress bar while it uploads. You can also specify an ID in case you want to have an ID, but since you're not having an ID here, you can decide to get rid of that, and it's still going to work. Okay. Okay. Now the last one that we have in here is a save category, not save product, and then we have cancel. So that is what we're doing. Quite simply, we close an edit form, and that will be all. So if I close this, or if I minimize this, you see that? And now that is also our table. Now in that table here, let's see what we're doing. Within the column Module 12, you're creating a card which has the same pattern and the margin as in the category. In that, we're creating our card header. Check it up. We're creating our card title. That's the add product. We call this method. Then in that, we're creating a card body. And in case this is not null, you want to create a table. So this is table. In that, we need to specify the table head. So let me remove one. The table head. Then we have this at the head that we want to provide. Name, image, description, and then the action. Then with the table body 2, we want to loop through the product list that we have, and then we want to display that here. We have a button as delete. In case I click on delete, this is going to happen. Okay. And in case product is null, because we are seeing in case it is any, but in case it is null, we want to display this. So no product instead of category, no product found. Yeah, so that's what we are doing. Now the next package, what is the package? The next component that we have to create here is a sales page, which is going to be in the home page. So let's get this package also, this component also created. So in here, we need to create this with a new component in the same administrations folder. Let's add the last component, and that is a sales page. Now with this sales page, we need to specify a route. And then we don't specify a route for each, so let's do that. So when you check this admin navbar, we said product and category. So let's make sure we have the same. Okay. Now the sales page, we need to also have the same. which is admin. Now with this, let's also go and get our code section here. So with our code section, we need not to write much because we're not doing something here. We want to just display this information to the user. So once we have this cut, as soon as the page loads, let's go and unbuild our UI. So bear in mind that here we need to implement the layout. Okay, so let's go to this. You know, it's having the same banner section. It's having container. So we are not using container fluid. You want to have it center in the middle. Then we're having a row with the same column LG12 with margin top of 5. We want to specify the height so we can check in case it's too long, the height exceeds 600 pixels. We want to set its overflow so we can scroll up and down. Then when you open it again, we have a card as we have been using it. We have the title over here as sales. There's a card title, and that we're going to have the check-in in case we have any. We want to group this by date because you want to get date, then the sales made for that date. Maybe if today, yesterday, tomorrow, we want to do that by date. So we want to group it by date here. Now we want to show only, because you know we are looping through this head. We want to show only one header for all. So we need to have a show counter. Now check this. After we having this archive.any, we create our group, we group it, we show our count equal to 1. Then we're going to loop through this because you know since we are grouping it, we're going to have a key and the value. The value is going to be the list. Now the key is going to be the date because we are grouping by the date. So within that, we create our card again. Then with the card header, we want to display the key, which is going to be the date. We format that to short dates. Then in a card body, we're going to loop through the list, that is a value. And now we're going to check if counter is equal to 1, whereby we set it to 1 already. So it's going to show this once. How do we know that? See here, we are getting a show count plus plus. So after this has been looped, we want to add 1. This becomes 2. So the next time we check if it is equal to 1, no, it's going to skip this. It's going to skip this header. And I continue with this one. You see that? So that's what we're doing to get it. Now we're looping through the body. Now in the body, we want to set the width and then the height. The width to 100 pages for all, which contains the customer name up to the amount paid in decimal. Then that is all. So there's also quite steps that we're following to create this. We loop through this. Then we're going to loop through that because here we are grouping it by date. So we're going to have the keys and we're going to have the values. We loop through it to get the key, and now with the value is a list, so we also need to loop through that and now get it. So that's exactly what we're doing. This is quite simple. You see that? Good. So we're almost done with that component. We need not to create any component again to make this work. Now is the time for us to run the application and I'll test it out. So let's make sure our endpoint is running and also UI also running. So let's run the UI first. Then we're going to run an endpoint. We're having an issue when running the UI. Let's check it out. So get product does not contain, where is it? Base for image. Yes, we know that it is base is image. Not base for again. Let's check from here again to the same thing. So we have to make sure we've done these corrections before we can. Okay, move on with it. Good. Now again, our endpoint is also ready. So let's run this endpoint. That's an API. Now the last thing that we need to do here, you can see that I am running this. Even if I log in, as an admin, see what's going to happen. I click on account. Now this account should take me to login. Now I am admin, so I'm logging in. If I log in as admin, it just logs me in, and now I get back to the home page. You see, so if I want to navigate to an admin page, I have to then go and do it myself. We don't want to do that. You want to make sure that as soon as you log in and your role is an admin, it should direct back you to the admin UI. That's administration level, not the client level here. So in there, we can do that by updating the code. So go to solution, then in our not the API, our UI, go to the home component, and in here, that's where we need to handle that. So let's have a code section. So this one we need to use. Now we need to use our auth state. We get the user, and now within that user, we check in from the claims. If the claim here is equal to this row, claim type.row is equal to our row that we specified, then we want to navigate to the admin component. This is quite simple thing. You see that? It's quite simple. So now let's reload this again. And as soon as we load it, it's going to redirect us back or straight to the admin page. No more client page. Let's see. So keep watching. I think we've logged in already, so we have a token saved. And as you can see, as soon as we logged in, we are back to an admin where we have our home, our logout, our product, and our category. This last admin, see that? So we are in. Now this, I added records already. I sign in as a client, and I added some stuff. So you can see that's an email. I purchased this product, and I have it over here. Since we did the grouping, you can see I having it by date. So this date, this are the sales. Now if you scroll, you can see this is the next day, and we also have the same sales. That is the email, the person email, the same email, the same name, purchase this item, quantity was 2, and that is the amount that he paid for. The same thing applies to this, quantity is 3, and that is the amount that he paid for. So you can even sum the total for all of this. You can sum them and anticipate. If you want to see the sum by date or the whole thing, you can also do it. All right, so if I click on home, that is the home. Now log out will also log me out. Product also get me to the product. And you see from this product, we have the ID, add product. We have the price, the quantity, the created date, and now I can delete it. Let's say if I want to delete this product, I click on this and check it up. Okay. So product deleted, right? So you can see we have product deleted. But it seems you're having some issue here. Check it out. Delete product deleted. Oh, this should be the title and that should be the message. And let's see how to fix that. From this, you go to the product page, and now from the code section, this is going to be the title. Add product the title. So if I delete product, there's a title, and now there's a message. Okay. Show toast. We have the message over here, and that's the title. Oh, okay, the same. Okay. So we see that, and what is then that the next? We can also delete this. So delete product deleted, and you can delete multiple product. Okay. Now, if when you look at this, you can add image. Click on add product. You have a new stuff, so you can go in there and I'll add it. Let's add new product and see. So this is new product, and there's the price. Let's add quantity, description, passing something. Now here, select this category and I'll choose an image. And with this image, let me choose one here. Let's say I've chosen this mobile. Now you can see I have this upload. So this is showing the display upload. And if I click on save, you know, this should put that added, right? So I have it here. Now let's wait. I have to see this product here because as soon as it makes successful, saved, I need to get this product down here. Yes, I have it. You see it? So you can just go to logout as an admin, and now you go back to the client. So for now, we've done some of the works here, and I believe it is not all. This project is open to modification, so you can start by adding stuff in this. We've come far, and at least you've gotten something here, isn't it? If you did so, then do not forget to like this video as well. Thank you, and I'll catch you up again. Till then, take care.